Today, we're talking about living organisms in biology. Before going to that, let's first discuss what exactly biology entails. Now, let's start with science itself, because it's the science that gives birth to biology. Now, science as a whole is an inquiry into nature, trying to study about what nature is itself, trying to know what do we have in nature. That is both non-living thing and living thing. That's what science entails. What biology is a part of science, because you can say a part of natural science that deals with the study of nature. That deals with the study of both plants and animal. That's what biology entails. Now we have some branches in biology. We have the botany, which implies the study of plants. We have zoology, which implies the study of animal. We have anatomy, which implies the study of the internal structure of living things. We have microbiology, which implies the study of microorganisms, that is, minute organisms, organisms that we can't see with our eyes. So these are the branches of biology. So without further ado, let's now talk about living things. Living things are those things that have life in them. Let's start with living organisms. In our surroundings, we have some things that possess life in them. We have some things that does not possess life in them. Examples. Example of living organisms are those organisms are goats, animals, plants, etc. All these are examples of living organisms. While on the contrary, organisms that does not have life in them are referred to as non-living things. Now, what really makes an organism to have life in it are the characteristics of living things. The characteristics of living things are those things that makes organisms to have life in them. So when an organism does not possess these characteristics, it makes such organism to be referred to as a non-living thing. But when an organism possesses all of these characteristics, such organism is referred to as a living thing. So what really makes an organism a living thing are these characteristics. Now let's look at it this way. Let's look at goats, for example. If it does not possess the characteristics of life that enables it to do some certain things, it will not be regarded as a living thing. So these are what makes living things. Now the characteristics of living things are 10. So these 10 characteristics are what makes an organism to be referred to as a living thing. So these 10 characteristics are as follows. We have M for movement. We have R for respiration, N for nutrition, I for irritability, G for growth, E for excretion, R for reproduction, D for death, A for adaptation, and C for competition. These are the 10 characteristics of living things. These are the 10 characteristics that makes an organism to be called a living thing. So there's an acronym for this characteristics. It is referred to as Mr. Niger Duck or Mr. Niger Card, either of the two, either Mr. Niger Card or Mr. Niger Duck. These are the acronym for the 10 characteristics of living things. So let's commence with the first one, movement, M. Now, M stands for movement. Movement, this is the ability of living organism to move from one place to another, or the ability of living organism to show bending movement. The movement may be moving their whole body from one place to another or moving parts of their body. Now let's see it this way. Moving their whole body is practiced by animals. Animals have the ability to move all their entire body from one place to another, from one place to another. While plants, on the other hand, move half of their body. That is, plant does not have the ability to move all of their body from one place to another. What plant does is they move part of their body, just a branch, just move a branch of their body. They don't have the capability to move their entire body. So this is also categorized as movement for plants. Now, the movement may be as a reason for search for food or search for better environment or search based on sustenance. So the reason for movement varies for animals because animals can move from one place to another. So the reasons for movement varies. It can be for food. It can even be for protection. It can be for a better environment. It can be for change of environment. So these are the various reasons why organisms move from one place to another. That is that about movement. So, but in the case of plants, the reason why plants move part of their body is as a response to stimuli. They don't move part of their body for movement. It's only in the case of animals that they move the entire body for movement, protection, better environment, etc. But plants, they move part of their body for the essence to respond to stimuli. That is movement. Now respiration. The second one, R, respiration. Respiration is the process by which living organisms are able to break down their food substances in order with the presence of oxygen or without oxygen in order to release energy. That is, the breaking down of food substance by living organisms with or without oxygen to release energy is what is referred to as respiration. The breaking down of living substances, the breaking down of food substances by living organisms with or without oxygen in order to release energy is what we refer to as respiration. You can see the word oxidation is used here. That is oxidation of food substances, which means the food substances are being oxidized. That is, the food substances undergo a process of breaking it down, thereby releasing energy with carbon dioxide. So we can see that for plants to respire, they take in oxygen. Plants take in carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide and take out oxygen in order to respire. For we animals, animals take in oxygen and take out carbon dioxide in order for them to break down their food substances. So the main reason why we take in oxygen, we breathe in oxygen, is to enable the oxidation of food substances in our body system. Same with plants also. Plants also, they take in, they don't breathe. Plants don't breathe. They take it in through their stomata. So plants take the substance in through their stomata. They take in carbon dioxide and take out oxygen in order for respiration to take place. Now, nutrition. Nutrition is the process by which living organisms obtain or manufacture food. The process by which living organisms obtain or manufacture food in order to sustain life is referred to as nutrition. Now, if we look at the words used, the reason is because not all organisms can manufacture their own food. Example are plants, for example. Plants have the ability to manufacture their own food. Plants have the ability to manufacture their own food. Let's say it this way. That's why plants are called the autotrophs. So through the process of photosynthesis, plants can manufacture their own food through the process of photosynthesis. Why animals cannot manufacture their own food? What animals does is that they can just obtain the food. Animals depend directly or indirectly on plants for their own food. So animals are referred to as heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are animals, while autotrophs are plants. So plants are autotrophs because they have the ability to manufacture their own food through photosynthesis. Plants don't depend on anything to get their own food. Through sunlight, they can produce their own food from sunlight, from water and carbon dioxide. They produce their own food. That's why they have to take in the carbon dioxide in order for them to be able to manufacture their food. But animals, they depend directly or indirectly on plants for them to be able to manufacture, for them to be able to get their own food. So they obtain food from plants. You can see we using ourselves as an example. We take rice. All this rice we're taking it from plants and we eat it. So we're taking it from plants. So that's how nutrition occurs. This is what nutrition entails. Now, growth. Growth is the tendency of organisms to increase irreversibly. So we can simply say growth is defined as the permanent increase in size of an individual. The reason why permanent is used is that the increase goes like that. It does not come back. It's irreversible. It's not reversible. It's not possible for someone to get to the 10 years old. Maybe his height, such person height as at 10 is, let's say, is 4 feet or 5 feet. So it's not possible for that person to now reduce in height. Maybe when that person does get to 12 years old, the age now reduced back to 4 feet. It's not possible. So that growth will never be, it will not reduce. It's irreversible. In one word, growth is irreversible. So it occurs in both plant and animal. In the case of plants, in the case of plants, the growth occurs in such a way whereby you see the plant growing in size, growing in length. Usually growth occurs at the apex, at the head. That's the case of plants. Growth is apical. That is, it occurs at the head of the plant. But in the case of animals, growth occurs in the entire body. Animals feel growth in all their body. In all the body of animals, growth is being established. The next one is excretion. So excretion is the ability of living organisms to excretion is the ability of living organisms release waste products of metabolism from their body. So it is just the release of waste product of metabolism from their body. So all these products that is released from living organisms, products that are no more useful. So this is referred to as what? Excretion. Let's see it this way. We can say that we animals urinate, animals defecate, animals fart. All these are processes by which excretion is being established. So it's a process by which we remove unwanted materials from our body. So if these materials are kept in the body, it becomes toxic to the extent that it can affect the life of such living organism. Same as plants also. So plants also excrete by releasing nitrogenous substances that is no more wanted in the plant. So living organism excretes in order to make sure that all these unwanted materials are released, are removed from the body. So that is excretion. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, good. Now, reproduction. Reproduction is the ability of living organisms to give rise to young ones of their own kind. That is reproduction. So all living organisms can reproduce. So when a thing cannot reproduce, such organism will not be categorized as a living organism. Now let's see it this way. Reproduction occurs in two ways. We have asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction is a reproduction whereby two organisms will come together to give rise to a young one of their own kind. That's sexual reproduction. Well, asexual reproduction involves it involves one organism giving rise to young one. You get the difference. Sexual, two organisms come together to give rise to young one. Asexual, only one organism give rise to young one. Now, asexual reproduction is common in plants and unicellular organisms. Example, amoeba. Amoeba exhibits asexual reproduction. That is, just one organism will give rise to young one. While sexual reproduction is common in animals, very common in animals. So that is that about reproduction. Now, death. Death. All living organisms will definitely experience death. That is, there is a specific life, there is a specific period for them to exist. So immediately the lifespan elapses, such organism dies. So the life of all organisms is usually in 5 stages: birth, growth, maturity, decline, then death. So these stages are the stages that living organism pass through. From birth, then growth will start occurring. From there, they mature. So when they get to a stage, living organisms start to decline in their maturity. Then death comes in. So in a nutshell, all living organisms have a definite period of existence. Competition. So competition is the tendency of living organisms to struggle for the basic things of life in order to survive. That's competition. So this is also experienced by living organisms. All living organisms compete for so many things. Example, it competes for food, it competes for water, it competes for mate, especially animals. Even human, even plant, animals especially, they compete for mates. They compete for mates, they compete for space, and etc. So living organisms compete in order for them to survive. You will see an animal trying to display territoriality, that this is my territory. No animal should come to my territory. Same with human beings, mammals also. So that is competition. Now adaptation. Adaptation is the ability of an organism to adjust to change in its environment. So I want you to understand there's a different competition and adaptation are kind of alike. For adaptation, you have the ability to adjust to changes in the environment. Maybe the environment is having a cold temperature, and all of a sudden, the environment becomes very, very sunny with very hot temperature. So if you are able to adapt that environment at that time, is adaptation. So that is adaptation. Being able to adjust to changes that happen in the environment. While competition, you like fight, like struggle to achieve a certain thing. So these are the 10 characteristics of living organisms. Now, out of all these characteristics, let's ask ourselves a question. Which one does virus possess? Hello? Are you there? Hello?
Yes.
Hello? You know that virus is also categorized as a living organism. Hello?
So I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Virus can be categorized as a living organism because when virus come in contact with a living organism, it behaves as a living organism. And when it comes in contact with a non-living organism, it behaves as a non-living organism. So all these characteristics, the one that virus can possess is reproduction. Virus reproduce and virus respire. So that's not about that. Now, difference between plants and animals. Plants undergo passive movement, that is, they show bending movement. Animals undergo active movement, that is, they move with the entire body. And plants gaseous exchange takes place through the entire body. But in animals, gaseous exchange takes place in some special parts of animals, in some special parts of animal organs. Plants are autotrophs, that is, they can manufacture their own food, while animals are heterotrophs. They depend directly on plants. Plants exhibit slow response to stimuli. That is, plants exhibit slow response to stimuli. They respond slowly to change, while animals can respond very fast to stimuli. Plant does not have they don't have sense organ, they don't have a special sense organ. Animals have special sense organ. And also plants does not have a special excretory organ. For animals, they have special excretory organ. Now, organization of life. And the organization of life comes in 4 levels. As all living organisms are able to live in 4 levels. We have cells, tissue, system, organ, and system. Let's start with the first one, cells. Cell is defined as the basic functional unit of life. The basic functional unit of life, or the smallest unit of living organisms. All plants and animals are made up of cells. There's no plant or animal, there's no living thing that is not made up of cells. All living things are made up of cells. So, but there are some living things that are made up of only one cell. These ones are referred to as unicellular organisms. Why other living organisms are made up of multiple cells, so many cells. These ones are referred to as multicellular organisms. Example of cells in plants. So, for example, plants that are cells in plants, we have phloem cells, xylem cells. All these are examples of cells in plants. An example of organisms that have only one cell in them is amoeba. We have amoeba, we have paramecium, we have chlamydomonas. All these three organisms, they have only one cell in them. So they are referred to as unicellular organisms. And multicellular organisms are those organisms that have so many cells in them. Example of multicellular organisms. We can say Volvox, example. We have goats, birds, animals entirely are multicellular organisms. Now, cells in animals. We also have cells in animals. For example, let's say the red blood cells, the egg, the sperm cells, the egg cell, all of these are cells in animals. So this to tell us that living organisms can occur in these stages. We have the cell, we have organs. Now the next stage is tissue. So a tissue is a group of cells forming a layer in an organism to perform a specific function. That's what tissue is. And the second level is cells coming together to perform a specific function in an organism is referred to as tissue. Now, example of tissue in plants, we have the mesophyte, the parenchyma, the sclerenchyma, the collenchyma tissues. All of these are tissues in plants. While tissues in animals, we have the muscle, the bone, the cartilage, and blood. All these are tissue in animals. The next stage is organ. Now, as you can see that tissue is the coming together of similar cells, as multiple cells, forming a layer and performing a specific function. That is the definition of tissue. Now, the definition of organ is now the coming together of similar tissues, forming a layer in an organism to perform a specific function. So, example of organisms, of organs in plants. We have organs in plants. Example are leaves, flowers, and seeds. We also have organs in animals. Example are skin, eyes, ear, liver, kidney, etc. These are organs in animals. Now, this to make us understand that these cells give, the coming together of cells gives rise to tissue. The coming together of tissue gives rise to organ. And the last level, the coming together of organs give rise to system, which is the last level of organization of life. Now, for system is a group of similar organs which work together to perform specific functions. Examples of systems in plants, we have the shoot system, we have the root system. While system in animals, we have digestive system, reproductive system, nervous system, circulatory system, digestive system, endocrine system, etc. So we have so many systems like that in animals. So these are the 4 organizations of life. So in a nutshell, all living organisms exist in these 4 levels. All living organisms exist in cells, they exist in tissue, they exist in organ, also exist in system. In cells, for cells, organisms that exist, animal organism for cells, we have the blood cell, the egg cell, etc. For tissue, we have muscle, bone, cartilage. For organ, we have skin, eye, ear, kidney, liver. For system, we have reproductive system, nervous system, circulatory system. So this will tell us that all living organisms have this 4 organization makes up living organism. This 4 organization of life makes up living organisms. So don't forget, the cells give rise to tissue, the tissue give rise to organ, and organ give rise to system. These are the 4 organizations of life. So in a summary, all living organisms must exhibit the 10 organizations of life before it can be said this is a living organism. So when we see that a thing could not possess the 10 could not possess any of the characteristics of life, such thing is not referred to as a living organism. I believe you understand this. Hello, do you have any question?
No, sir.
Okay, you understand the concept very well.
Yes, sir.
You can mention the levels of organization of life. How many are they?
4.
4, good. Can I mention them?
Cell, tissue, organ, and system.
And system, good. So you know that what gives rise to organ?
Sir?
What gives rise to organ?
Tissue.
Good. What gives rise to tissue?
That's cell.
Cell, good. So we'll come to an end of this class. By next week, we're talking about cells as a whole, the structures of cell, the functions of cell, and how cell works, all the functions, how it enables living organisms to live very, very well. So we'll be talking about cells in our next class next week. So have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.